Hi, I'm Wilson Melancelli, and today I'm going to share with you 7 ways to improve your heart rate variability to trigger yourself into flow. Okay, so in the previous video I was explaining that when you focus on your recovery, you're going to prime yourself to get into flow, and I'll explain that pretty quickly now. So there's 4 cycles of a flow state, if you like. You have the struggle where there's that tension, frustration, and you're trying to find your way to release yourself, which means you want to focus on your breathing, to open up your blood vessels, to release nitric oxide, to allow yourself to be attuned to your autonomic nervous system, so there's that coherence between your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, and then boom, you're in flow. And you're in flow, and the tasks that you're undertaking maintains flow. Then after that, awesome feel-good release of those neurotransmitters and hormones comes the recovery stage that everybody seems to just walk past away from. This here is the most important part. If you don't do that, you take all that build-up of cortisol that's in your system and you carry that back on to the next day, and you make that struggle a big struggle, and we don't want to do that. So what the real secret is to change that struggle into priming yourself. So you want to prime yourself to get into flow. And how you prime yourself is pay attention to your heart rate variability. Okay? When you pay attention to your heart rate variability, you will prime yourself to get yourself into flow. So if you want to learn more, look at the video that's on YouTube or on the channel here just now. So, how do you do that? How do you improve your heart rate variability so you can prime yourself to get into flow on a more consistent basis? Well, you do these 7 things here. First thing is you monitor your heart rate variability. Okay, and you do that on a regular basis, so you establish a baseline score. And you work with your baseline score to adapt your data accordingly to what that score is telling you. You do grounding or earthing. Grounding or earthing, I'll explain more in a different video, but the bottom line is that when you ground yourself or earth yourself, you allow a flow of positive, and you allow the flow of electrons and protons to go through your system. It's like you flush out all that excess free radicals that are in your system, all that excess inflammation and tension that's been here, and you flush that out by earthing or grounding yourself. Breathing. When you breathe correctly, when you breathe in flow, you put yourself into that coherence. When you breathe in, sympathetic. When you breathe out, parasympathetic. When you have an awareness of that and practice this, you can calm yourself down or lift yourself up with the awareness of breathing in flow. Cold therapy. Cold therapy is another fantastic way of triggering your parasympathetic nervous system. You see, the parasympathetic nervous system is the real secret behind this. Because the parasympathetic nervous system means rest and digest, another way of thinking about it. So if you're improving your ability to stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system, you will allow yourself to be primed for the next day of getting yourself into flow. So cold therapy stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system. Intermittent fasting, again, stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system, because what this does and what the next ones do, in fact what they all do is they stimulate your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system, and you feel chilled. You feel rested and digested. So the other ones are your meditation, which I probably don't need to say, everybody probably knows that. Not everybody's probably doing that. And movement. So movement can and does stimulate your vagus nerve, and stimulates your vagus nerve, stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system improves this, right? So the key point here, and the real secret behind all of this, is to stimulate your vagus nerve. I don't know if you can read that writing. When you stimulate your vagus nerve, you promote the parasympathetic nervous system to rest and digest. You then prime yourself for the day to start your day off in flow. Okay? So I hope that answers any questions as how I can't be consistent. Is because you're not focusing enough on El Capitano. El Capitano is the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you have any questions, leave some comments on the videos or send me an email directly. Ciao for now.